Hello! I wanted to do a high-level video highlighting PVE specific changes coming in Lightfall that I think are worth noting. Again, this is PVE focused, and what my opinion will actually be some noticeable changes that we'll see come in Lightfall. This audio was recorded on February 20th, so anything revealed after that point in the final week obviously won't be in this video. Trying to keep this under 10 minutes, do the best I can. This is all sourced from Bungie.net news articles. Go check those out for full details. I'll link the page in the description. First subject, mods and builds. Bungie stated their major goal here is consolidation. Starting in Lightfall, the following will happen. Loadouts. You will be able to save 10 loadouts per character, complete with a new mod customization screen that should make it easier to build out your Guardian. All mods will be unlocked by achieving Guardian rank 6. We don't know everything about this just yet, but you can assume if you play the game regularly, you should have the majority of the mods unlocked from the get-go. Mod energy types are being removed. This means there's no more elemental affinities on mods or armor. Artifact mods will no longer need to be slotted and will be passively applied to your character at all times while unlocked. That being the case, you will only be able to have 12 unlocked at once. The combat mod slot is going away. Many mods that belonged to the Charged with Light and Elemental Well subfamilies will now fall under a revamped system known as Armor Charge and moved to a armor-specific slot for those mods. Armor Charge works similar but different to the current Charged with Light system. Please read the Buildcrafting Evolved article for the details. Elemental wells are changing drastically. The ability to spawn these objects will no longer come from armor mods, but from your subclass. Each subclass will have its own specific object now. Ionic traces for arc, fire sprite for solar, void breaches for void, stasis shards will still be generated from stasis, and Strand will have its own object as well. Warmind cells are gone. Nightfall weapon focusing will be available at Zavala, including their adept versions. Now for weapons. Linear fusion rifles are getting tuned. Reduced damage versus champions, mini-bosses, and bosses and vehicles by 15%. Sleeper Simulant and Queensbreaker are unaffected by this change. Machine guns are getting a much needed boost to their reserves. Heavy grenade launchers increase damage versus champions, mini-bosses, bosses, and vehicles by 20%. Miners will see an increase of 40%. Improved projectile collision, making it easier to land hits. The blast radius is also being increased. Parasite will not be affected by these changes as it does enough damage already. Exotic weapon changes. Queensbreaker. Shots now chain to nearby enemies and will use Arc 3.0's blind. Ruinous Effigy. Transmutation Sphere slam attack will now suppress targets. Leviathan's Breath will now apply volatile on perfect draw impact, and damage to champions is being increased by 30%. They really want you to use this bow. 1,000 voices. Each explosion now applies 10, 15 with Ember of Ashes scorch stacks. One full burst with Ember of Ashes equipped will trigger Ignite. That's a big change. I wish they would have given it more reserves. Sunshot. Explosions will now apply 10 plus 5 with Ember of Ashes Scorch. Polaris Lance. Perfect 5th shots will apply 40 Scorch plus 20 with Ember of Ashes. Two-Tailed Fox. got huge changes. The solar rocket will now apply 60 scorch stacks, 30 with Ember of Ashes. The void rocket already suppresses, and a catalyst will be coming out that will, quote, complete the trifecta. So we can assume that's going to be some kind of Arc 3.0 blind. Prometheus Lens added the incandescent perk to the catalyst. Grand Overture now will use Arc Blind 3.0. Weapon perks. Vice Stinger. This was typically a full reload when the perk activated. It will now only reload 25% of the magazine, which I do agree brings it more in line with the other origin traits, as Vice Stinger was far and beyond the other ones. Strand. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. There is an entire article linked on the Bungie website that goes into Strand. The thing I just want to note with Strand in this video is the new verbs, which will be suspend. A suspended PVE enemy is lifted off the ground for a brief duration and is essentially disabled. Unravel. Attacking an unraveled enemy will cause threads to burst out of the target and attack other nearby targets. Once hit, that target will also become unraveled. Sever. A severed enemy is less capable of affecting the material world, reducing their damage output as a result. We don't know the numbers on that yet, but that is what they do. Ability changes. Regeneration provided by a tier 10 stat will now be roughly equivalent to a tier 8 stat. Yeah. Hunter's Dodge getting reverted. So Marksman's Dodge base cooldown will be reduced from 34 seconds to 29. Gambler's Dodge will go from 46 seconds down to 38 as a base cooldown. A third note on abilities and supers. They are working on making roaming supers more viable. There will be some slight changes to orb generation from roaming supers. It is increasing, but that is the only changes happening with Lightfall. Nothing too drastic. Ward of Dawn for Void Titans. Armor of Light will now inherit Void Overshield's 50% PVE damage resistance. That's huge. I love that. Those are the big changes that stuck out to me as I read through all these articles. I tried to condense and just kind of give everything in a wider overview that's easier to digest. Again, for more details, those articles are crazy detailed. Go check them out. If you think I missed anything or you think something, it's like, Wispy, I can't believe you didn't say that. Drop it in the comments. Let me know. And as always, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in Lightfall.